went to bed thinking, you know what? First thing in the morning, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna record this, edit it, get it out of the way so I can enjoy the rest of my weekend. Then I had a weird dream that a bear was chasing me, and I jumped the fence, and then the bear jumped the fence too, so I jumped it again, and it kept jumping, and in my brain I'm just like, oh, okay, this is a dream, because in real life a bear would never be able to jump a fence like that, not even once, much less 5 times. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I am your host Nathan Allen. This is WNBA Weekly, the show where twice a week, usually on Mondays and Fridays, but today, since there is no game on Thursday, I'm going to go ahead and record it a day early. I will stand here and talk about things that happened recently in the association and things that I'm looking forward to in the upcoming days. It was a very short but fairly exciting week. On Tuesday, you only had one game in action. You had the Lynx versus the Stars, and the Lynx destroyed them. No shock there. Like literally 0 people were actually shocked by that. I don't know if anyone actually went into a single game actually expecting the Stars to win. Then on Wednesday, you have 4 games, all of them fairly early. You have New York versus Atlanta, and New York just completely handles them. They get their 4th straight win. You've got the Fever versus the Sun, and the Sun, for the first time this season, actually managed to defeat an Eastern Conference opponent. You've got the game that ended up being on NBA TV, which hopefully you got to watch. I was able to watch it, the entire game, from start to finish. I haven't been able to say that about a lot of WNBA games this season, unfortunately, but I can say it about this one, and it was very exciting. You got 2 former MVPs battling it out, and a new front runner, Lynette Kizer, who just keeps dominating everybody. They just could not stop her. They couldn't even slow her down. And the Stars, they get win number 19 on the season, one short of tying the record for the best start in league history at 20-1. And then you also finish off the week with the Mystics versus the Mercury, and Washington ends up going on to lose their 4th straight game. So after all of that excitement, here are your current standings. I mean, there's very little that happened this week, very little that I feel like I can add to the conversation that I haven't said already. The Sun, they've got a new head coach, they've had injuries, they've got a lot of young players on the roster, so obviously it takes time to develop chemistry, get used to playing each other, get used to playing in this league, and I figured that they would eventually become one of those teams that was constantly in the playoffs and that they could play spoilers down the road at the very least. And that looks like that's what they're doing. They're putting up a fight most nights, more often than not. They fall short most of the time, but every now and then they have a big game where everything just goes right. And the Fever might be in some real danger because they don't look like a championship team right now. In fact, they barely look like a playoff team. And to me, this is Tamika's last year. Stephanie White's leaving. Everything is changing. So this was really like their last best shot at it for a while. Then again, season's not over, and sometimes it just takes getting hot at the right point. Because Atlanta has started off incredibly well, have fallen off incredibly since. The Mystics, they've had long droughts followed by long hot streaks, followed by another long drought, but they're still, in the upper half of the league. The Sparks are the only team that hasn't had a big losing streak at any point in the season, and they look like they're just going to keep it going. And for them, especially, they're gonna get 20 wins before we even get to the Olympics, and then the Olympic break comes and their entire roster just gets a vacation, which is really stupid. And then they're gonna come back in the second half even more rejuvenated and ready to tear some heads off, and they're gonna just destroy everybody. I mean, I've said this in previous seasons, but I worry about Candace Parker because I fear she could be one of those like Karl Malone type players, one of the best in the league ever, but not a single championship. Looks like that could change this season unless the Lynx have something to say about it, because once you get into the playoffs, things change. For the rest of 2016, it looks like they're going to be able to hold on to that number 1 seed, which means a lot of things are going to be in their favor. Anyways, I'm done rambling. Now we're moving on to the games this weekend. There's a ton of action throughout the league. I will tell you the ones that, as of recording this, are currently scheduled to air nationally, which means everyone in America can see it. But for people outside of the country and for all the games that aren't being broadcast nationally, you can always check your local listings or watch every single game on WNBA League Pass. And as always, I will tell you the times that they are being played in Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you adjust for your time zone. For some reason my brain's having trouble remembering things this morning, and I don't want to have to keep going back and forth between my laptop to talk about each game and then having to edit out all the breaks. So I'm bringing back the tablet. We start this week on Friday, where you have basically every team in the league in action. Basically, we're missing 2. But still, you've got 5 games, starting with the Sparks at the Sun at 7 p.m. Sun have played better recently, but right now they're playing the Sparks, who are the number 1 team in the league, have yet to lose a single game on the road. The odds don't really look like they're in Connecticut's favor. Then you have the Dream at the Fever, that one at 7 p.m. Both of them had a short winning streak, which came to a halt on Wednesday, and now they're both looking to bounce back from those tough losses, get another win. And then you've got the Liberty at the Lynx, and the Liberty, they are right behind them. They are chasing their tails. They are nipping at their butts. You know, the Liberty, especially if they can win this game and then string a few more together, they have a damn good chance of stealing that 2nd seed before we get to the Olympic break. They've already won 4 in a row, so they're doing pretty damn well for themselves right now. It's not going to be easy for the Lynx. And then you've also got the Wings at the Sky. Both of these teams have underperformed this season, but they have played better recently, and a lot of their losses just come from the fact that there's been some tough scheduling. So we'll see how this game turns out. And then you've got the Mystics at the Storm. The Mystics, 4-game losing streak. However, facing against the Storm, even their record isn't great. That's good. But the other thing is, they played fairly well. The record doesn't necessarily reflect the talent. They've got plenty of talent on this roster. They're capable of winning a lot of games, especially against teams that really aren't playing that well right now. Then we move on to Saturday. You've only got 1 game on the schedule, the Stars versus the Mercury. Stars, still the worst road team in the league. Mercury, still incredibly talented. Still got basically the same starting 5 that won the championship a couple years ago. So, you know. Then on Sunday, you've got a bunch of games. You've got, starting with the Sun at the Liberty at 3 p.m. The Sun, they finally managed to win against an Eastern Conference opponent. But the schedule is much tougher now, because now they're facing the number 1 team in the Sparks on Friday, and then Sunday the number 3 team in the Liberty, who could fight their way into the number 2 seed by the end of this weekend, possibly. Who knows? You've also got the Sparks at the Dream at 3 p.m. Once again, Sparks, they had a long homestand. Now they're going on a short road trip. You know, Friday, if it doesn't happen Friday, which I 100% expect it will, if it doesn't happen then they have a chance to get the 20th win. But more than likely, they'll be looking to go for their 21st win, looking to set a new mark for the best start to a season ever. Then you've got the Lynx and the Wings, 4:30 p.m. And I've talked about it before. The Wings, they can beat a lot of the opponents that are below them or right around the same mark. They struggle the most against people who are above them in the standings, the people who know how to win consistently. But I hope that they turn that around this week. Like, I would really like to see the Lynx get knocked out of 2nd place and see the Liberty take it. That being said, 100% expect the Lynx to win this. I just say I would love to see the upset. Then we finish off the week with the Sky versus the Storm at 7 p.m. And that's it for this episode. Comment, like, subscribe, all that other bullshit. You know the deal. New episode will be up on Monday. And until then, this has been the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lau. I hope you have a great week.